Air as a company started, I think back in '66 or '67, where my dad and a bunch of other producers had sort of got fed up with being with EMI. And my dad had signed the Beatles and was working on a lot of '60s acts like Jerry and the Pacemakers and Cilla Black and Billy J. Kramer and all of these sort of '60s things. I think at one year he had 36 weeks at #1 out of 52 with different artists. So, I mean, extraordinary amount of success.
They thought about it and they thought, this is madness. We're making all this money for EMI, we're not getting anything from it. And so they decided to set up an independent studio, which was AIR. And AIR, in fact, stands for Associated Independent Recording Studios. And the idea was to take all that work and talent that they had working for them, singing for them, I should say, and make records themselves.
It was the first truly independent studio that actually thought about what they were going to use. They went out there with specifically to buy the best piece of kit available so that they could use them.
When he built Air Studios, his whole idea is to give engineers as well as musicians a chance to be the best they can. He rejected in a way the factory that was Abbey Road that he was in before, and went and built Air Studios, as a place where engineers could have more say in what they did.
The Air Studios engineers all have their unique sounds. There is an element of it that is sort of common to us because we've all been brought up in the same way. We've all had the same mentors. We all started with the George Martin, the Jeff Emmerichs, working down through there. And you can definitely, there's a certain sort of school of engineering that sounds like an Air engineer.
Certainly at the time, and that whole ethos, that was established in the mid-60s, finally built in '69, and that carries all the way through. I will not, none of the guys that work for me will tell anyone that you can't do that. It will tell you is, A, it won't do it. If it's physically not capable, electronically not capable of doing it, it won't do that for you. But otherwise, feel free. It's there for you to use.
Right from day one, the ticket was always excellence. And Air Studios has always been about excellence. And, we're one of the more expensive studios in the world, and there's a reason for that. You have support from a technical standpoint, the staff have expertise. We will not let anybody or anything out of our doors that isn't as good as it can be. And the sort of the yardstick, if you like, is what everybody else sets their standards by.
I believe that if you can offer something as a studio, and whether that's at Strongroom or at Air, that is different from what other studios are offering, then someone is going to want to come there. And one of the things that I deeply believe, and has always been my philosophy, is the technical backup that's offered in a studio. We employ 9, I think, full-time technical engineers, not recording engineers, not assistants, people who keep the equipment in tip-top condition between here and Strongroom. And these days, with the budgets the way they are, I doubt whether many studios employ even one full-time technician.
Air has a great sort of technical expertise. All the people that work here are very sort of professional and have got a great ethic about, and being conscientious about wanting to do a good job and making sure everything's correct, and so, the maintenance team are first class. They maintain all the equipment beautifully, and that helps us as engineers, because when you go to use something, it works. It's not like going in the midst of a recording or, which often happens.
Richard and George are very similar in their outlook. They both strive for a studio that gives technical excellence and basically everything just works. One of the most important things that they believe is when an artist or an orchestra or conductor or anyone that uses the studio, the whole experience of them walking through the door and their experience of them recording, if something goes wrong, as it inevitably does with technology, that it gets fixed, that the support structure is completely there so they can concentrate on doing the job that they're there to do and be at their creative best.
I think there's two things about Air. One is that technically it's absolutely it's just the most fabulous, problem-free place I've ever worked in. And sometimes we, on a big film, will really do some damage to the, to the infrastructure in terms of, I want to do this, 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 and this. And the people that work there, who are, I think my favourite people in studios, they're just so lovely and so brilliant and talented. They kind of make it happen. So I turn up and this stuff happens, and I don't really realise how complicated it is. I don't want to think about it because there's a huge amount of stuff going on. And what happens there is that they allow the process to happen without the technology getting in the way.
People come to our studios because it's not just technically as good as it can be. It's also got that magical je ne sais quoi. The people here understand the heart of music, if you like. We're very much about making something that really does touch you.